everyone. Welcome to the Femme Tell All podcast. My name is Madison Bellissimo.
And I'm Ruth Devereaux.
And today we're covering beauty standards, which, as you might have noticed.
I hope you've noticed.
I hope, because we're in 4K right now, and I'm a little terrified. I'm going to be real with you. We're not wearing makeup.
Yeah.
Not a stitch.
Yeah. We also didn't do our hair.
I blew it dry.
Blow
I
blew dried my hair.
Blew dry, and then you get what I'm saying. I took a blow dryer and I dried my hair.
But you didn't curl it.
I didn't curl it.
And so we definitely wanted to come into this conversation as natural and stark as possible.
Naked.
Yes.
No, I'm joking.
Yes.
But yeah.
To kind of to show that I guess it's just to show like us being natural and that you shouldn't be afraid of this.
Yeah.
Even though as women we're almost taught like you should only be presenting yourself in a certain manner.
Totally.
We wanted to oppose that while we have this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm terrified to do this. And I don't even wear a lot of makeup, I would say.
Yeah.
But like, it's a self-expression, first of all. Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
We're jumping in. We're
Let's
jumping in
go.
hot. Thank you for being here. We can't wait to get into this. Ruth Devereaux,
Yes.
why don't you define beauty standards for me? What your definition of beauty standards are?
That is a great question.
Thanks.
I would say I think that beauty standards shift with time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so hard about conforming to a beauty standard. Because when I was younger, my look, my nationality, elements about the way I'm composed was just not popular.
Sure.
Nowadays, definitely, I feel like mixed people get a little bit more attention and like it is praised a little bit more. But like growing up, I hated that I was Asian. I hated that my eyes weren't like a certain way. Like I hated that my hair was so dark. Like I used to dye it like super light when I was younger, just like trying to like I know.
Stop. I'm calling it now. I'm crying during this episode. Okay.
But I didn't hate myself, but I felt super uncomfortable in my own skin because I felt like I didn't match what I was supposed to be looking like. I didn't conform to what was being told to me was beautiful. And so I felt very unbeautiful.
Yeah. I'm so sorry that you felt that way. First of all, she's gorgeous. We know that.
You're gorgeous.
Don't fight me today. I got my Arthur fist ready. When you say like what you were fed, right? Or what you were told was unbeautiful or was beautiful, is that like mostly media? What would you say? Like
I would say it was
like tabloids, like magazines were super popular.
That's the hard thing though, because you don't know where the start of it is, right? Because like it is media, but then it's also people reacting
how they
to
treat
media,
you,
and so But then is it people reacting to media or is it media reacting to people? Like I don't know where the kind of the pull is there.
Yeah.
It's kind of a combination of both. Like I also grew up in a predominantly Caucasian area, so I was not like I didn't see anybody around me that looked like me.
Yeah.
Or like very few people around me that looked like me. So like and especially when you're younger, you want to conform, you want to fit in, and so when everybody around you looks so different, and you're not getting reactive, like people telling you like you're beautiful or whatever, you're going to feel lesser than.
Yeah.
Which sucks and shouldn't be that way. I will say that I think that as you get older, you become more comfortable with who you are, but I don't think it ever goes away the want to feel beautiful in the eyes of the masses.
Yeah, like try to not only navigate what the like beauty is that in the eye of the beholder, like who's the beholder, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And you're like, who do I need to cater to? Who am I? How many standards can I like check off in one fell swoop?
Yeah.
Or, but also just like being perceived as an attractive person, even if you're like, no, that's not like my MO is I want to be a good person. I want to do this. I want to change lives. But at the same time, beauty is such a currency, as we've talked about in past episodes, where you feel more inclined to cater to that as much as you can.
Yeah. Do you have a definition of beauty standard?
Yeah, I think it's similar to what you were saying as far as like I can pinpoint what I think is beautiful objectively right now, right? Like if I was like, okay, what does media think is really beautiful? It's the glass skin, which your girl had a breakout because she's on her period and she had a hormonal breakout. And
I literally don't see a pimple on your face.
Literally, it's right
Not
here.
one.
Zoom in. Zoom down. I'm joking. Please don't. It's literally right here. And I've always dealt with like hormonal acne. It went away for a while when I was on birth control, and then it went like horribly. This is a whole other story. I want to get into birth control another time.
Yes.
But that is something that like I've always been really insecure about my skin. Not only how fair I am, but then also
not fair.
I am fair. People say pale, and that's my favorite. People are like, "You're so pale." I'm like, and sickly? Thank you. Like, I'm like, I don't know what you're. I'm like, what a funny thing to say to someone. But yes, I think I'm fair skinned, you know, obviously, and I'm not mad about that. But it's definitely something that sometimes, like, beauty standard is tan, I would say.
So the funny thing is, different cultures are different too,
Totally.
right? In Asian culture,
Yeah.
the lighter you are, it's
Yeah.
the better because
Yeah.
the tanner you are, you're working in the field.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you're like rich and like,
Yeah.
or like
Royalty,
royalty, like you're
you have
inside,
the-
you're covered,
yeah,
you're
no, it's so true.
white. Yeah.
That's a very fair point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So specifically in American culture, I would
Yes,
say,
yeah.
it's the tan, blonde for me, big boobs. Always, I've always been like, okay, missed that train. It's okay. I'm not mad about it. But it's like, that's one thing that I'm like, okay, beauty standards, I'm not trying to be self-deprecating right now. I'm truly just trying to like define what I see in media, and I go, wow, that's someone that probably everyone thinks is attractive. And then like the tiny waist, big ass, you know, I do have long legs. I'll say that. That's something that I'm like, thanks, jeans. Love you for that. But then I also feel like sometimes I feel like pretty gangly. You know, I get like when I'll go on dates, guys are like, how tall are you? You know, and it's not a like, yes, queen, walk on that runway. It's more like, I'm threatened by how tall you are.
I have two questions for you.
Oh, let's get into it.
Do you think then for women, beauty standards goes back to the male gaze?
Oh, 1,000%. As much as I hate to admit it, I think it's nuanced.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's like it's perpetuated not only because of the male gaze, but also because women want to cater to the male gaze because again, it's the currency thing. Like I think it's a vicious cycle that we go through of like, oh, well, what do we think men would find attractive? Okay, this big boobs, big ass, tiny waist, you know, perfect skin, natural girl, you know,
But
right?
it's interesting though, like even in your past relationships, I'm sure the people have told you like you're beautiful, like they're so into you.
Yeah.
Did you believe them? Did it like curb all of your insecurities in the beauty standard?
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely there are definitely been people that I've dated that tremendously helped me. And I will like thank you so much. But then there's some people that have like perpetuated the like, you know, and it's not even like they're trying to, you know, or they say something like, oh yeah, I've always dated blondes. And you're like, great, fucking fantastic. You know, like, and you know, I said this to you the other day. I was going on a date with a guy. We found out that he has a blonde ex.
I found out. I literally didn't want to show her. I found the picture. She goes, "What'd you find?" I'm like, nothing.
And that's a little psychotic behavior in the way, not psychotic, but in the way of like we were researching for a first date. But
the psychotic one is me. I was like, "What's the name?"
All of this to say,
sorry.
no, not at all. You're not psychotic, but. In the way of like we'd found that a guy that I was going out with had gone out with a blonde, and I was like, fucking great. All right. Put the nail in the coffin. And you were like, what do you mean? And I was like, he's dated blondes before, you know, like, and it's not that you can't date a blonde, can't date a person of a different nationality, can't do like, I feel like I've dated all over the spectrum as far as like men go. But, I think I have this like weird thing that I'm like, oh, if you liked blondes or if you like blondes, then I'm not your cup of tea. And like it's like we can get into it. So
do you think specifically for you personally, because you feel like that's the beauty standard? So for you, because like I would never even consider that. Like that to me, even if I saw somebody I was dating and their ex and they had like they were blonde, like it wouldn't affect me. Yeah. But I don't think in my mind now, like today's beauty standard, I don't think is a blonde.
Okay.
And so
Thank
like
God. I'm glad you feel that way. Like genuinely, I'm like, please, I'll take some of that. And it's funny that you say that because then I look at you, I look at all my friends. Like a lot of my friends are brunettes, and like my sister, who I find absolutely drop dead gorgeous, which is funny. We have the same genes, And I'm like, objectively way better. But I'm like, anyway, she's beautiful. She's beautiful. We know that. But she's talked to me about that too, where she's like, we've even dyed our hair lighter in some years because we've been like, oh, like maybe the blonde will be more approachable or something like that. And it's funny, like there's even the tropes in media too. Like you think about it, like it's always even Legally Blonde, for example, you know, where it's like the girl that's supposed to be with him, and then he always leaves the blonde, or like they end up with the like hard ass brunette that's like icky, right? Like she has a law degree, but she's a bitch, you know? And you're just like, why is that? Like, what is this archetype?
What is that connectivity?
Yeah. How does like, there's like multiple movies, especially in the 90s that are like that. It's like the icky brunette. And it's just like, okay. And I get that I'm even so privileged as a white woman, right? Like I know that I have so much privilege of like, I fit so many beauty standards that I feel like any woman of color would automatically displace herself from or think that she's displaced from, which I don't agree with. I think all women of color are so beautiful. And I, you know, it's like, it's funny when I look at my friend groups, I look at the women that I see in media that I'm like, holy shit, they're drop dead gorgeous. Yeah. I'm not looking at the blondes necessarily. Right, I just think that that's like a universal well-liked thing. I'm not saying blondes are the prettiest in my mind. I'm not saying that blondes are not pretty. Don't come for me.
There's definitely.
But I'm just saying that's not my personal like, oh, I think blonde women are the most beautiful in society. I'm like, I love all shapes of bodies, you know, like nationalities, all the things. So interesting.
Even like, I feel like so many women that I know feel the same way as you do, as do I. Like I look at my friends that are, again, like a range of different body types, nationalities, like hair color, like everything. And I think they're all beautiful. And like, I think that we're so much harder on ourselves than we are on like the people that we love around us, because in totality, when we look at our friends, we don't just see what they look like too. Like we see who they are. Yeah. And I think that creates the package.
Totally.
And I think we forget to look at ourselves as the package, because like we're only looking at the external factors and not like equating everything that we are.
Yeah. No, I think you're entirely right. And I mildly touched on this on when I think it was our last episode, I believe, that I feel very confident in what I bring to the table as far as like conversational, you know, like, you know, I'm like, I think I can charm some people. I think I can have a conversation with people. Yeah. I'm not as nervous about that, like social anxiety or anything like that. I'm like, that I don't worry about. Yeah. And which like, thank God, I know I'm in the minority there. Yeah. But it's always the like how I'm going to be perceived physically. And like even my glasses, for example, like I think about this a lot where I like my glasses. Yeah. I'm like, I was born with poor eyesight, you know, can't control that. Obviously I like having contacts because I can just do more with contacts, but I do like being able to like put on glasses. But it's funny, in the male gaze, I feel like glasses are sexualized. Like once guys find out that I have glasses, they're like, oh yeah, you totally give sexy librarian. And I'm like, thanks, you know, and it's not even like in the moment, I'm like, why, Madison? Why are you taking that as a compliment? And it is in the way of like, they're calling me sexy. Sure. I'm not trying to like completely, like devoid myself of that. But like, I'm like, why is it that? Like, why is it directly to like sexy librarian, overly sexualized version of that, right? Or like, I'm sure you're fetishized for being like Asian. Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, I'm sure I am. It's never been verbalized to me.
Thank God, as it shouldn't be.
I think I've told, like, there have been other things that have been said that I'm like, what the fuck? Like, like, but not in like a way like with the sexy like Asian thing, but like for sure, like I think the glasses thing I've heard before, and like that's interesting that you even bring up like the sexualization of it. And so it's not even the fact of like, oh my God, like they look so good on you, or like, oh,
I like you in glasses.
Yeah. Or that like now you look smart and are smart, or whatever that is. Like it's sexualized, which is interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, please sexualize my eyes not working. Like, go off, King. Like, I love that for you. I'm like, you want to talk about my scoliosis too? Let's go. Like, I don't know what you want. Like, it's just such a weird thing, you know, where I'm like, okay, I love that. But it's, you know, I find men that wear glasses sexy too, but it's not like I'm like, oh, sexy librarian with his sexy glasses. Do you got a law degree, my guy? Like, I'm not doing that. Like, it's just like, I think glasses look good on people.
Yeah.
objectively.
Yeah.
You know,
Agreed.
and some people look better, some people don't.
Yeah.
What a fucking concept. Like, I don't know, you know, it's just so funny to me. But yeah, even like long hair, how do you feel about that? Like, I think that's something like I get terrified about having shorter hair.
Yeah.
I've had shorter hair before.
Yeah.
My mom has a pixie cut. I think she is smoking.
Yeah.
She's been smoking for
She is.
her entire life.
Meg.
And we love Meg. And that's where it's so funny. I see short hair on other women and I'm like, oh my God, they're a knockout.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would look like a meerkat. Like, I'm like, I don't want to approach that. I'm okay. I need my veil. Like, you know, it's like we think of these small things that like bring us like security, or at least me. I'm gonna speak. This is something that brings me security.
I even remember this comment that was made by this gentleman that I used to work with when God, why can't I remember her name right now? But she shaved her head for a role. And
Natalie Portman?
Yes. And she still looked beautiful.
Yeah.
And I remember this guy saying, like, you have to have a really beautiful face to, like, shave your head. And he was like, you're pretty, but, like, I don't know if you could get away with, like, shaving your head. And I was like, and I remember this. And this is, like, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That somebody said this to me, but I remember it. And I'm like, and I think that it's so easy to catalog those comments and take them with you versus like taking the comments with you of like your friends telling you how beautiful you are, how smart you are, how great you are. Like you take the negative and it's just like stored right here.
Yeah. Right there.
Let me just pull that one back.
Never going away.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
And it's sad that like these things can stick with you. Like, I've thought about like guys calling me pale or something like that. And it's funny that a lot of the comments that I'm remembering are like the negative things are from men.
Yes.
And not even that they were like necessarily trying to be negative. Like, I don't think that these guys are saying stuff out of like
some
like,
of them
malicious intent. I don't think, you know, maybe. I'm sure there are, you know, and there's always the like quintessential like, hey, pretty lady, give me a smile. You don't smile. And they're like, fuck you. I didn't think you were hot anyway. And you're like, I can't win. There will never be a winning in that situation, you know? So in that way, I think you're right. Like we do internalize those comments, you know, and like, I don't know. I think like.
So I want to kind of go through what you don't like about your body and what you do like. Starting
Fantastic.
I'll do
Can't
the
wait.
same. Just because I want to, I guess like what I want you guys to know and feel is like you're not alone.
Yeah.
In having the struggles. But what I want to say is like, okay, like acknowledge, I don't like this about my body, but then like, let's acknowledge what we do. And like, I want us to also try out the mirror work. There's a practice called mirror work where you wake up every day, you look in the mirror naked, and you say everything you love about your body. And it just reminds you of like the things that are great, the things that you should love, or like find something about every part of your being to love. Yeah. Because the love starts within yourself, right? And then when you emote that to the world, like there's a beauty in that as well.
I totally agree with you. Yeah. And I'm so glad that you're challenging us to do this, even though I'm cringing in my skin right now.
I don't want to do it either. I don't know why I said it. I take it back. Let's delete that.
I'm like, LOL at me being like, should we talk about beauty standards and, you know, not wear makeup? That sounds like such a good idea. And I'm like, I hate that. I hate that. And, you know, we've been, you know, influenced by other people as well, as far as like being like, hey, maybe you'd be more approachable if you guys didn't look like $1 million all the time. And I'm like, sorry that we're cute. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, of course, I do want to touch on what you're saying as far as I think this challenge will be helpful for other people to hear, because I even saw an interview the other day with like, I think it was Madison Beer with pimple patches on. And I was like, what a lovely change of scenery. Like she's gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous. I was like, you get pimples? No fucking way. Cap. I'm calling it cap. And I'm like, of course she gets pimples. But it was just like one of those things that I was like, oh, I love that she showed up to an interview and was like, I don't give a fuck. Here's a star on my face. Like pimple patch. I don't give a fuck. That. Anyway, I think it's also, just to touch on this really quick, like we, like so much of what we see visually everywhere is altered. Yeah. Oh. And so like face tuned, let alone face work, and no judgment on any kind of work. Like we love
Paris filter is my go-to.
A little one swipe on your Instagram story and you're looking good. You're looking good, baby girl. You look good always though. But I play victim to the Paris filter as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there are so many things now that like you can't even notice when they're altering their image.
Well, even in film, like they do beauty VFX.
Yeah.
So everything that like looks like, oh, that's how they look, you have no idea.
No. There's especially all of the more recent films of where they're doing like the younger versions of actors.
Yeah.
That's all visual effects.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Do you want me to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. Not me being like, all right, let's stop having fun now. All right, so let's start with the negative so then we can circle back for the positive.
I think positive,
that sounds like a great idea. So yeah, like I already touched on, I think the fair skin. I do have moments where I do like it, where I'm like, hee, but then it's so funny. Anytime I do like, I've done it very rarely, but if I do like a spray tan or a self tan, I'm like, my body. Oh my God.
I'm a goddess among women.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, look at me, I'm glowing. And I'm like, oh, that's why women tan all the time.
Yeah.
Like people that like look like me that just never let anyone else see that. I'm like, I just don't have the upkeep for that. I'm like, you might see me twice a year in summer with a tan on, and love that for you and for me, because I'll be confident for that week and I'll be walking on sunshine. So there's that. Definitely the smaller boobs. I love my boobs. I'm gonna be real with you. I love my boobs, but they are smaller, and sometimes I wish they would fill out a little more. Some shirts, some dresses, some things. Do I get complaints? No, I don't. but I'm gonna have to tell my family not to listen to this one. Yeah, that's not something I get complaints on necessarily, but it's something I am insecure about. I think that's something that I always like. As soon as a guy puts his hand on my boob, I'm like, no, this is where he walks away. And I'm like, that is so dramatic. First of all, I'm getting flushed. Literally, I told you, what did I say the other day? Okay, I'm going to expose myself. I was talking about how sometimes I wear push-up bras, as we all do. I don't care. I'm going to burst your bubble, okay? And the other day, a guy tried to put his hand under the push, and I was like, yo, first of all, this is the Wizard of Oz.
This is a visual show.
I literally was like, we did not agree to this. First of all, no. It wasn't like non-consensual in that way, but in the way of like, I was like, yo, my guy, maybe ask first. Like, because I was like, I would have not worn a push-up bra if I knew you were going to be touching my boobs tonight, because now, like, I don't want to like disappoint you. I don't want false advertisement here. Like, I was just like, oh my God. And I compared it to the Wizard of Oz being like behind the cloak.
Curtain.
Yeah. I was like, do not pull that curtain back. Like, we were not here for this. We were not ready. We were not prepared. But it's not that dramatic, I promise. But that is something I do get insecure about. As I mentioned, I have scoliosis. That's something that, that really fucked me in my like entire life as far as beauty standards go. Like, I feel like dresses, fashion. I'm someone that really loves fashion. I love clothes. And there's things that I want to wear because of my body type where I'm like, ooh, like something more skin tight would really benefit my like lankier body, right? But because of my scoliosis, I'm like so hyper conscious of it. And I think that it's so shown.
Funny, I've never noticed it.
Everyone says that, which is so sweet. And I'm like, I'd love to believe that. And I do believe you.
But I see you like all the time.
You see me literally all the time. I know. And I get it. And I love you for saying that. Like, truly, I'm going to try and hold on to that for the rest of my life. And like, even boyfriends that have said that, I've slept with guys like multiple times. And then it comes out later and they're like, what? And I'm like, you've seen me naked. And then I like always do the thing. I'm like, feel my little ribs. This is how my hip is. This is blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it is something I get insecure about. And that's something that I think definitely hinders me sometimes, even sexually. Like, I feel like I might be, if I was more confident in my body, I might explore my sexuality a little more. I'm more like, you get to unwrap the present if you've proven yourself to be a kind person. So if you unwrap it and you don't like it, I know you're not going to yell in my face, which is so horrible. Like, no one should feel that way. And I promise I know we're like joking right now. I'm being over dramatic, but there is that fear in me of like, oh, what about if I get naked and a guy's like, no, I'm good. Thanks though.
Legitimately?
Yes.
Really?
And I know that's fucking insane because I'm like, anytime I talk to a guy and I literally go like, they're like, you know, you're like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything, my guy. And you're being like so turned on. But yeah, I think I've worried about that, which I know
Where do you think that stems from?
Great question. Let's talk to my therapist. I don't know. I think, again, I think it's these things that I'm insecure about my body. Because I know objectively, like, I'm an athletic, slim build.
Yeah.
Like, that is already something that, like, I don't think that's the premier beauty standard, in my opinion. I love all shapes and all bodies. But I think, like, America has sexualized that, right? Of like, oh, if you're thin, then you're attractive, you know? And I think I'm on the thinner side. So then people are like, oh, yeah, you're already, you know, and it's like people talk to me. It's so funny. Like, I get, especially from men, they're like, well, you know, you're hot. And I'm like, do you want to see the demons that are behind this fucking like brain right now? I'm like, let's not go there, my guy. I'm like, let's go.
There's
like,
so many good clips for this show.
It's just gonna be me yelling at a mic. But it's, you know, it's that where I'm like, no, I don't know I'm a hot girl. Love that you feel that way. Like, I'm so glad you feel that way, and I'm so glad that you think, because now I feel validated that you think I'm attractive. Shitty. It's shitty, but we do, you know? Yeah. And it's so funny to me that, like, they're like, well, you know. Yeah. And I'm like, huh? What? I don't. And I'm not trying to be like fucking I'm not trying to be like, little old me, never been attractive in my life. Like, I understand people do find me attractive. I do understand that I've been in relationships where guys have been like, girly pop. And I've been like, thanks. I've been like, oh my God, should we explicitive here? You know, there's been multiple times, right? Like, that's happened in my lifetime. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
But
you still struggle with it.
I still struggle.
Is, like, it's interesting. And I think that's what's so connective for anybody watching this is like, there's a lot of people that struggle with it, even though they're told. Yeah. Because it is internal. It is what you're consuming either from the outside media or other people or the memories you have of somebody saying something. Yeah. It's so internal, and like it is hard to break that barrier and say, I feel beautiful. Because, and then I also feel there's this other thing of like, if you do that, it's perceived as narcissistic or like
as soon as you're like owning something that you feel
as soon as you're like self-confident
about.
So it's almost like this balance of like, oh, like I want to feel beautiful, but then if you say it,
but
just
I can't say it too much,
right? Yeah.
That's such a good point. So yeah, I mean, just to wrap up my like things that I'm self-conscious about, definitely like how fair I am, I think, and like the freckles and stuff like that.
Freckles are in.
Well, see, and you know, it's like they're in, right? Like that's like a beauty standard now. And like, and it's funny because when I put makeup on my face, sometimes my freckles have like hide like under like concealer or something like that. And I've like put on faux freckles a couple of times, and I'm like, this is so fucking problematic and so bad. Like, why am I'm literally covering up freckles and then adding them back on. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so yeah, I mean, I agree with you. So, and I don't get a lot of people that are like, you're freckly. Like, I don't get, but it's something that I perceive as not as attractive. And again, I see it on other people and I feel like it's beautiful. Yeah. So I think it's just a me problem. Then my scoliosis, and then my small but mighty boobs, I would say, as my three things that I could do without. What about you? Oh, it was so simple.
Who asked this question?
I don't know. Some brilliant, beautiful woman that I'm so lucky to have as a partner.
Okay. Insecurities. Oh, there's so many. Yeah. My forehead. Let's start from the top. We'll work our way down.
Are you fucking serious right now?
I got made fun of my forehead so much when I was a kid. I was called an alien. I was called Tyra Banks. I was called Five Head.
No.
Yes.
Literally, you have a very tiny forehead.
I don't.
I've never perceived you to have a big... Literally, if someone put a gun to my head and was like, tell me the top 25 qualities physically of Ruth Devereaux right now, not once would your forehead even come into my mind. Literally.
Really?
Genuinely, I wish, like, this is so fucked, guys. This is so fucked. Because it's the same thing that you're talking about the scoliosis, where I'm like, I think about that maybe 12 hours of the day.
Oh my God.
Like, it is somewhere in some, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's crazy that, like, some other people literally have never perceived it about us, but that's something that we, like, no, we're like, everyone sees it right now. And it's not. I've literally never noticed that, even slightly. Wow. Sorry to continue, though.
Still on my list.
Yep, it can be on your list, of course.
I think I still like struggle with the Asian eyes a little bit. I love that my nationality. I love my culture. I love my background. I have like barely any lashes. Like I wore extensions for a long time just because I felt like it like just helped accentuate my eyes. But now like I've taken them off for a while, and I still like struggle with the fact of them not being on. I remember when I first took them off, it was like the first time Neil was going to see me without them. And I was like, what if you don't love me anymore? And he was like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
And like, but it was like, I felt so insecure about my natural lashes.
It feels life or death.
Yeah.
It does. It truly
really does.
Yeah.
So
which, please, first of all, if anyone has seen, she has the most beautiful eyes. Everyone I feel like that's something that people do talk to you about, as they should. I'm not, again, invalidating your experience at all. But it's so funny to me because that is something I would bring up as one of like the first things that someone notices about you. That's so gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so sorry. Oh God, I hate this. Let me take all your burdens and put them on my shoulders.
No, give me yours. How dare you?
Girl, I told you, you don't want these demons. You don't want them. I don't want them either. No one wants them. And that's why we're in therapy, kids. That's why we're in therapy.
We laugh through the pain.
We do. Sorry, continue.
Are we only doing 3?
No, you can do whatever you want.
What else? Oh, my feet. I'm not going to show them on camera.
No free feet pics.
Yeah. So I feel like I have long toes, and I feel like my feet are very like wide. And so like I feel less insecure about it now, but I remember I never used to like wearing open-toed shoes. I never would wear flip-flops. I would never like I would hide my feet.
This makes me want to like hug every person that I've ever seen in my life, because this is all happening.
It's true. Everybody's
in
having
everyone's
this
fucking brain right now.
We're all doing this to ourselves, and that's why I wanted to say it out loud, because I don't think that we talk about it openly. We have our own insecurities that we internalize, and then we like externalize them through the way that we're being judged or how we feel like we're being judged, right? So yes, that's my top 3.
And sometimes people like will what's the word? Project it on you. You know, like if you're really nervous about your feet or something like that, and someone has like really pretty feet, but you're like, oh, I could probably call them out for you would never do this, but someone could. Like I've seen people say something to me where I'm like, oh, that's like, oh, they're like, oh, you're just so tall. I get it. You know, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, who hurt you? You know, I'm like, I think you're lovely at your height. You know, like, I don't think, you know, and they're like, fucking Bigfoot, you know, and you're just like, okay, we don't need to do this. It doesn't need to be a hate game. I'm not going to hate back at you. Seriously. I'm not going to be like, hey, what's up, Napoleon Bonaparte? Like, I'm not going to fucking, like, I'm not going to do that. But it's sad.
Okay, so I know that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I feel like this part is going to be more uncomfortable. Which is weird, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me what you love about yourself.
Okay. That's the sound for this episode. Okay. This is something I used to be insecure about, but I think I like more, and now someone's probably going to call me out for it and be like, fucking freak hands. I have long fingers, and I think
they're beautiful. Yeah.
I like my hands.
I do too.
I know that I gesticulate a lot. I'm like, la, 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 all the time. But I like my hands now. Yeah. I think I've grown to like my hands, but now I'm going to put them away because I don't want anyone to see them. This is just purely physical, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Take your hands back out.
She just said the rest of the show.
Oh my God.
I've never heard you get spicy.
I know. Literally. Well, okay. Hands are out. Okay. You're right. He was like, she's not going to be able to talk. We're going to have to stop this episode. So yeah, I would say, the Italian just starts basta. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, hands. And I would say my ass. No, we're not gonna.
Okay, I'm just gonna.
No,
I'm gonna co-sign that.
Thank you.
Every time she comes over, I'm like, what workouts are you doing?
Yeah.
Because I need them.
Listen, it fluctuates though. That's something that my body she loves playing tricks on me. She's like, oh, you're depressed and you lost weight? Your ass is gone. You're going to be even more depressed. Yeah. She said, bitch, you'll be more depressed. Just wait. And I'm like, cool. No. But that is something that I do think naturally I like have that shape in my body, even though I'm pretty stick figure-y. Not
Shut your mouth.
I'm so sorry.
Shut your mouth.
I do think I really like my butt. And that's something that I'm
she
like,
grabs her boob.
yeah, I like my,
I really like my butt.
I really like my butt. Can't wait for this to be on the internet. So yeah, I like my butt and we love that. And that's something that I'm like, who, me? What? Never ever worn leather pants in my life. Yeah, so that's something I definitely try to accentuate when I can. I might say my lips, my mouth.
Yeah.
I like
nice.
my teeth, and my parents, God bless ya, have paid a lot of money to make my teeth look, presentable and for me. Thank you. And so I think I like my lips, and I think I know what to do with them.
Hey.
When did my flow become so slick? I don't know. It's not slick. I can't flirt. Okay, continue. What's yours?
My eyes.
Oh,
the
course.
color.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I do like this, but it stems back to like I do get a lot of compliments on them, so I think it helps me. Like that's been a continuous thing throughout my life. I like my hair.
You have amazing hair. Oh my God, she's the best hair, dude.
But it does shed a lot.
It does, but
I'm like
so does everyone.
I'm like a cheap sweater. It just comes off.
It's not. It's beautiful. It's thick. It's healthy all the time. It's so shiny. Yeah, me starts a Facebook page. Facebook page, Madison Bellissimo, leave. What am I saying? I said Facebook page. I'm dating myself. But that's where people would make accounts for fun, like things that would be random and be like, never mind.
Just like a fan page
for my hair. For something. Yes, exactly. Anyway, so your hair and your eyes. If you don't say something about your fucking kick-ass body right now,
my body?
Yes, bitch.
I will say the one thing that I'd never been complimented on before that Neil always compliments me on is my legs. And I had never, like, nobody had, he's like, the first time we went on a date, I was like getting into the car and he was like, your legs are amazing. And still to this day, he's like, I love your legs. And I'm like, I'd never gotten that compliment.
You do have beautiful legs. But you're like, if I'm like, whose body could I body snatch and switch with? I would probably choose your body. Yeah, I'm serious.
Really?
Yes, dead ass.
See, I would take yours because I would love to be tall. Like, I feel like you're so like, no. I'm so lifeless. I don't know. No, like regal.
Regal.
Yeah.
I'm regal. Yes. Thank you, darling. Thank you. No, that's so funny. Every time I'm like, God damn you and your rock hard abs and your tiny ass waist. You get in there, you wear anything that I know is not going to look good on me. I just automatically hand to you because it looks so
literally
good
my
on her.
mouth is just agape right now because I don't agree with anything you're saying.
Well, this is the first time that Ruth Devereaux is wrong in her life. So let's document it. You're recording. Okay, fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Of course. Oh. Look at us though, like the grass is always greener, I feel like.
Totally. And I think this is honestly like like you can have fun with this conversation but like to have it out loud and just like actually voice your insecurities and like so much of that is buried in our minds, but to talk about it with a friend and them, even though it's still like it's hard even when they combat it, for you to hear even shock and surprise, like about the forehead like thing or like even
completely shocked.
Or about scoliosis. Like I know that you hear people shocked all the time, but like it's like you kind of gauge that reaction and it can kind of counteract maybe those like stories you've told yourself of what are true about yourself, your body, and counteract that feeling and hopefully help us all feel a little bit more confident.
Totally. I mean, this, I don't know if you're going to agree with this, but I feel like this might be even beneficial to share with your partners. And like if you have a partner or like future partners, like I've noticed when I've opened up about it, like it has helped me because they've been like, you're fucking high right now. And I've been like, no, I'm not. This is what I'm insecure about. And, you know, like I think a lot, I'll speak for myself. I don't ever want someone, because I already know it's like a lot to deal with. And I'm like, trust me, my brain, I'm in there. So I don't want to like burden someone else with that or make them feel like, oh, she's insecure about that. So I have to tell her all the time that she's pretty, you know, like I never want anyone to feel burdened with that. But I will say, I think when I take the scary like monsters out of the closet and I'm like, this is what I have. And they're like, that's it. And you're like, yes. You know? And they're like, you're fine. Like, we're good, you know? And I'm like, but I am insecure sometimes. And they're like, it's okay. Like, I think that's helped me. At least I think it allows your
partner to be there for you too, right? Like it's not like so much in the factor of like, oh, like you need to consistently reassure me, but it's just like when they maybe see you struggling with that insecurity, like they can remind you, like, in those moments and support you through that insecurity.
Yeah, I totally agree. And your friends too. I'm like, what?
Absolutely.
I didn't know about her forehead. I've been friends with you for so long. I know. This makes me want to die. Like, I'm just like, are you kidding me? I would have told you every goddamn thing. And it's like you know, it's like we said, we would take that burden from our people that we love. And it's like, you know, I see my parents like this sometimes. I see my siblings say this, like other friends that I'm like are drop dead gorgeous, any gender, any sexuality. And I'm like, are you fucking high right now? Because I'm like, I think you're amazing. And everyone else does. Yeah. You know, and we have to accentuate the part that it is a full package. Like, even though we feel chained to the like requirements of beauty standards sometimes, like I think if anyone got through this whole episode, hopefully you weren't watching it because we weren't wearing makeup, you know, you weren't like, let's point out all the fucking crazy shit that's on Maddie's face, you know, you were no, I'm just saying like, but I'm saying that would be like a nerd in her glasses. Oh, let's watch. You're hopefully watching because you find us funny, you find us compelling, you like our opinions on things, like that's,
or you feel connected and like you feel heard. Hopefully, like that's really our goal here. It's not to present ourselves visually in a certain way. It really is to open conversations, open our hearts and our minds to you, so that that you also can have these conversations at home, but also feel not alone in some of the feelings you might be experiencing.
Yeah, you're not alone.
You're not
obviously
alone.
You can see two girls that you probably never thought had these insecurities, two women, I should say, that don't have these. Or you're like, they never thought that, you know, they probably wake up sunshine and rainbows every day and are like, I look gorgeous. And we don't feel that way all the time, but that doesn't take away from it.
Yeah, I think everybody struggles, and I think we all go through it, right? And so, like, let's do it together. So to wrap us up here, just remember, beauty standards are perceived standards, and you can create your own standard within yourself. Love yourself. Talk about the insecurities. Work through them. It's never going to be perfect, but let's get as close to perfect as we can. And I think the main message here is just love yourself, because you're incredible. You are a package. You are never one thing.
And the people around you love you, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we love you too.
Yeah, we do.
So thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. We love to hear from you guys, and we'll see you next week on Femtell All.
Bye. Thanks.
Killed it.